All right, welcome everyone to another weekly recap with Travis and I. I am Peter, your co-host, and Travis is off camera right now, but he'll come on camera in a little bit. Still a little bit under the weather, so we will we will not be making this a very long one. We're gonna just kind of shoot right through it. So um, I'm going to cover the general market real quick, and then I will. Um, I'm just going to show you a couple trades. I have my trading platform up here for my paper trading, and then I'll show you where I stand with Macy's. Everyone that's been following us knows my Macy's trades and what I've been doing. I'll kind of show you where it's at right now. So let's go into the general market. There's a couple things you see on my screen here that are showing. There's like an arrow, there's a circle. This was something that we were covering the last weekly. I just keep this stuff up, but one of the things that I was a little concerned with, not concerned with, but something I was keeping my eye on is the fact that the two moving averages, the 7 and 30 is what I use or what we use. Those are pretty far apart, and prices were really far off of the 7 day, so they were way up here, and that's always something we talk about reversion to the means. You can see if you look back in 2018, as much volatility as there was, you always tend to see the moving averages come back together when they get far apart. So I'm anticipating that. The other thing that I'm anticipating, I drew a green line, and this green line actually could probably move down a bit. I'm just looking at the last time the market was in this area and what it did. Now, this was on its way down, but it bounced up, it hit off of that green line, it came down, and it bounced back up, hit off of the green line. And then we saw it crash down. We talked about the 200-day. It has broken through the 200, and everything looks like what the market's telling me right now is it's going to go back to its resuming its normal upward trend. However, I look at different price points, and this price point here is a resistance price point in my opinion. So it's something I'm keeping track of. Now, having said that, we'll go over to kind of what I'm trading. I do have vertical credit spreads on SPY, so everything's working well. I sold this, I think I sold at 277, 276, because I sold it at the money at the time. So I'm in good shape right now. It's at 278. So once that hits an 80% profit, then I'll go ahead and exit those trades. I also did IWM. That was another one I did, and you can see that's it again was getting near that 200-day moving average, and it kind of is flirting with it now. So we'll see where that goes. But right now, that one's out of the money for me, and looking good as of right now. And then IYR was the other one, and again, it had a little bit of a pullback, but then it looks like it's starting to resume its upward trend. But again, look at those moving averages are pretty far apart. So something I keep track of. We had a monthly conference call with our Success Academy the other day, and I did tell I told the members I don't know that these trades will be profitable, but I trade what I see. Travis talks about this all the time. I don't trade what I think I'm going to see. Okay, so I think the market is going to come back and those moving averages will come back together, but right now it's not showing me that. It's showing that it wants to keep resuming its upward trend. So I trade what I see. It's showing me it wants to keep its upward trend. I'll trade in that direction. So that's kind of what I did. Moving on to my Macy's trade real quick here. Macy's just isn't getting any better. So you can see now it's at 23. So I have I sold an in the money covered call to hopefully get assigned, and that thing is going to be when I looked at it, it's on my real trading platform, so you can't see it. But when I looked at it, I think it was close to like 70% profitable right now. So when it hits that 80 to 90% profit, I'll go ahead and buy it back. And then hopefully this thing isn't going to continue to keep dropping, but we don't use the hope cocktail. I'm just trying to unwind this trade and get out of it. I will tell you this though, because of what it's doing, and even when I would have to sell really deep in the money to get rid of this thing. So when I go to do my next one, I'll record it and I'll show you guys, or I'll keep track of it and show you guys what I did do, because of what Macy's is doing right now. I have to adjust what my plan was, because no matter how much I sell in the money, if Macy's keeps dropping, that thing could keep expiring worthless. Now, on the positive side, that's money that I get to keep. And when I'm selling in the money credits or covered calls, I'm getting a really good premium. The downside, though, is every time it makes a huge drop like it did today and yesterday, I'm losing more and more money because I bought it at such a high rate. So I really need to unwind the trade. So I'll just give you a real quick preview of what I've been um, looking at doing, because it might be a better course of action and I got to run the numbers. I'm looking at buying protection at the 40 level because I bought it. I was assigned at 39. And the reason why I'm looking at it is because of that extrinsic value. The intrinsic, I know I'll get back, right? We've talked about this before, but that extrinsic isn't too bad. So I just have to make up that extrinsic value and then make up the intrinsic value I'll get back because of what it's at. So, but I still have to run those numbers. I did a quick synopsis of it on paper here, and right now it's not worth it to do that. But with Macy's doing what it's doing, we may get to a point where it is worth it for me to do that. So I'll go ahead and do it. And I've only looked at this long term here. I haven't looked at a little bit of a shorter term, so I could always look at that as well. So that's where I stand with my Macy's trade. It's still, again, the lesson there is to buy the protection in the beginning, always plan for a worst case scenario. I didn't, and it's not paying for me as much money as I've made in dividends on Macy's and stuff. It's hurting me. So especially because it's a smaller account. So that's pretty much where I stand. I think, the last one I'll cover for you guys, because I always cover. I own AT&T. I have covered calls at the $32 and $33 price point. So you can see AT&T starting to move up again. And if you look at the short-term moving average has now crossed back over the 30-day, and the $32 price point is above the 200-day. So that's a good thing for me because I don't necessarily want to get rid of my AT&T shares. But what I will do is I will manage this more closely. Usually when I sell my covered calls, because of what Macy's or AT&T has been doing, I don't really have to look at it too much because AT&T, you can see it just kind of meandered in this range here, and my covered calls were way above it, so I never had to worry about it. Now I need to pay attention to it because it's not that far away from my strike price, and I will then, my trade plan, excuse me, my trade plan is to do the math as it gets closer to it. There's probably going to come a time where a couple of those I can buy back instead of letting my shares go, or I'll let them go and then I'll take that money, because I will actually make some pretty significant money off AT&T if I get called away, which is always a nice thing. But I still make a good dividend if I don't get called away. So I'm actually in a really good shape. Wish my Macy's trade was in this kind of shape, but it's not. But it will be something that I always do the math on now and say, okay, is it better for me to take those back? We talked about this in the members area. So for some of you guys that are watching this video, this could be a tax issue. I'm not going to talk about taxes, but it doesn't affect me because my trades are in an IRA, so taxes don't affect me for that. So if I get called away, I don't have to file any kind of capital gains on it because it's an IRA. So that's why I can do it that way. But if you're not trading within an IRA, make sure you guys pay attention to that and make it part of your trade plan as far as doing covered call strategies. So I'm not giving you advice though. And I think I forgot to cover that. Remember, educational purposes only. But that is it. And I ended just as you walked away, Travis. I did that on purpose. He doesn't even know because he didn't have his headsets in. I said I ended just as you walked away. I did that on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't see my webcam. So hold up. So you can see Travis is still sick. Here's a thing though. So for those of you guys that are traders that You probably, in the beginning, I know when I first got introduced into options trading with Travis's program, I never had a problem going in and sitting in front of my computer. I'll be honest with you, I've been doing it a long time now, and there's times where it's like, I just don't feel like doing the work and creating a trade plan, and because it feels like a job sometimes. Um, but I know if I'm going to be successful and I'm going to be able to capitalize on opportunities, I have to show up every day. So Travis is a perfect example of that, and this is why he's my mentor, because he's extremely sick. He's dealing with some serious personal issues on the family front, and and he's still here. He said, because I was telling him, hey, if you don't want to do the weeklies, he's like, nah, I look forward to these. So that's a benefit to you guys. So take everything he does for you and capitalize on it. I sure do.
Yeah, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
You made me laugh. I was like, gosh, don't make me laugh. I can't stop coughing when I do that. So that's why I stepped away. All right. Woo, sorry, everyone. So, yes, thank you, Peter, for the kind words. I will be quick here. I have to take my mask off because I thought it would be weird for me to talk with my mask on. I have to keep a mask on so I don't germ up the place I'm in. But what I want to do is, two things. You talked about something as I was walking away. Oh, you talked about the tax bill. You covered that, right? That ATT, is it in a taxable account or non-taxable?
Mine's in an IRA, so I don't
Oh,
have to worry
yeah.
about. I did cover it though. If you're not in a, if this was my small, like my Macy's trade, yes, it's
Hmm.
something that I will. Well, I won't have to worry about my Macy's trade the way it's at right now. But if I were to implement another program, what I was talking about, I don't know if you caught it. I was looking at now, because of what Macy's is doing. Now I'm looking, saying, maybe I might be better off to buy the protection. It's expensive,
Hmm.
but in the long term, it may benefit me,
Yeah.
as far as, and then I have to readjust what I was planning on doing with that small account. But that is something I now have to look at, because if I buy the protection on Macy's and execute that protection, I now have a capital gains tax.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
have to look at, that's all got to be part of my plan.
Yeah.
When I
True.
talk about it in the AT&T, I don't, yeah, I did mention that to
Okay.
folks watching. I don't have to worry about it. When you guys see me do this stuff, 9 times out of 10, I don't have to worry about taxes, because all my accounts are IRAs. I'll have to worry about it when I go to withdraw that money, but I
Yeah.
don't have to
Yeah.
worry about it now.
Yeah.
So I
That's a
wish
good.
it was a Roth, then I definitely wouldn't have to worry about it, but it's not. Um,
Yeah. In terms of insurance, I mean there are I'm getting feedback. You got it? All right, there you go. In terms of insurance, there are hundreds of ways to play the market. Like, it's just our way, it's not the only way. So you have to keep that in mind. Two, gosh, I lost my train of thought there. See, my brain's a little slow. I was telling Peter, I was like, my brain's a little slow now. Um, you give me a sec. Well, if that point comes back to me, I'll talk about it. But let me go ahead and move on. What I do is, Peter, can you hear me okay? Okay, so I want you to pull up a couple of stocks, Peter, because I'm not going to show my screen. But can you pull up Visa V, symbol V? I have three more stocks for you all. These will be the last three I give you this month. I've double checked all the stocks I gave you this month, and all of them did
ooh,
okay. That triggered for Market Club monthly trade triangles today, and I ran them through our IBD screen. Visa is a good solid go. The last two are a go, but they're on the lower end. They're a so-so, and that's going to be MAR. I think that's Marriott,
yep.
and then AWI is another one.
Wow, look at Marriott.
That's what's that? A 6 month chart or
No, should be a 1 year daily. Yeah, it's a
okay?
1 year daily.
So Marriott, it's on the fundamentals. It's okay, but this one you have to treat as a comeback stock. There's no, I mean, if you look at it, it's been going down. So I would treat this one cautiously. And the last one is Visa's the only one I really like. The last one is AWI. Um,
Armstrong World Industries.
yeah, that one fundamentals were okay. So I'm just passing it along. Again, Visa would be the only one I personally would trade. The other two are like, yeah, they satisfy the templates, but just because something satisfies a template doesn't mean you should necessarily trade it. I see a lot of people do that. They get caught up on signals and is like, well, it satisfied the template. We're like, yeah, but you know, you still are left with your personal judgment. You have to use that. Um, and then
Yeah, this
two, oh, go
one
ahead.
looks pretty. So this is a 2-year chart.
Okay, that's like a double bottom pattern, so that looks like
Yep.
it may take off. And the winner from this month I recommended, I think is TTD. I think it's Trade Desk. That was one of the stocks I gave you all, I think, on both February 7th and February 14th. I didn't realize it showed up on my list twice, but I was like, oh, I see why it showed up on my twice. Because part of my sifting process is finding stocks that institutional investors are buying. Institutional investors were buying this up before it's up, what, 30 something percent today?
Yeah,
So
it's through the roof.
if anybody,
31.12%.
yeah, so if anybody traded that one, I looked at the options, you all made a killing. And so this is real time proof of the system we use to find the top performing stocks. Now, will we always catch stocks like this? No, but it's good when the stocks I do find do this, and I know I'm on the right track. So you always want to look for those clues. Next thing I want to talk about is kind of personal stuff. That's the trading stuff. And personal stuff I'm going to tie into trading is what I was telling Peter. You have to align your trading routine, your system you use to your personal life. So people ask me, do I day trade? I was like, I used to, but my life's too complex now. I can't afford to day trade. I mean, I have 3 young kids. I run a coaching business, and now I don't know if it's caretaker or caregiver for my mom. I forgot the terms, but I was like, besides for that, I was like, it doesn't fit my personality. How can you trade from the beach or from a lakeside cabin, when you need to be sitting in front of your computer to make money? Like, day trading keeps you a slave. People don't realize that. And two, I'm like, okay, my stepdad died last year. What if you have a death in the family? You're done. Like, you don't make any income while you're planning the funeral, attending the funeral, all that other stuff. Day trading is a job. You're trading time for money. If you don't show up, you don't get paid. So what we're trying to teach in the Success Academy is relatively passive income. Low maintenance passive income where we can spend 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes a month, but we set ourselves up to allow the stock market to do what it needs to do, but we still have income coming in whether we get up or not. All right, we still have to work a little bit, but it's not like every single day. And so this year, people will notice that, okay, Travis is not trading as much as he did last year. Well, Travis' life got real complicated real fast last year when my stepdad died because my mom's on disability and he took care of her. Go, guess whose job it is now? This guy right here. Of course, I'm not alone. I have other family members, but all of our lives got more complicated. And so I can't, well, I won't say can't. Can is a victim word. I hate my kids. As a matter of fact, if my kids heard that, they would get after me. And my kids are not allowed to say can. It's a bad word in our house. It's just completely erased from their vocabulary. So I choose not to trade as active as I did last year because I was like, I have to schedule doctors for my mom. I have to find nurses. I can't have all these trades I have to monitor every single day because if she goes to the hospital like she did last week, it's like, okay, I'm trying to manage that and trying to think about trades. It's too much and I'll forget something. So I was like, if I have a basket of trades I set up once a month, all I need is one weekend out of a month. I can find that somewhere. I find one weekend out of a month, place my trades, and then like all hell could break loose the entire month, and I'm good because I'm like my trades are good to go. I factor in worst case scenario my trade plan, and I'm fine. And the next month I log in and I can see where everything sits with my portfolio and what I need to do, where the market is, and things like that. This also applies to people who travel a lot. Like a person who travels a lot or has a busy life, you know, they aren't going to trade the same as someone who's single with no kids. A person who's single with no kids can sit at the computer and look at charts for hours a day. People who are busy or travel and things like that, they can't do that. So sometimes people get frustrated and they're wondering why they're struggling. It's because they're trying to use a system that doesn't fit their lifestyle. And so you always want to tailor the strategies to fit your lifestyle, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, Peter?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So just kind of, take what we've taught you and say, okay, look at the reality of my life. I have students who are disability. Yeah, great. I could teach them how to make $6,000 a day. But if they only have enough energy to trade maybe an hour a day or something like that, it doesn't matter how great my system is. It's not practical for them. And so I had one student tell me, he's like, I tried my hardest, but I get really weak with my, disease. And so he had to find take the strategies, everything I taught him, and he had to design it around his disability. He's like, I only have maybe a few minutes a day where I'm not super weak. And so he may place a cash secure put or sell stock insurance, as also called the Buffett strategy. And then he's good to go. He can deal with his disability for the rest of the day, and it doesn't hinder his ability to make money in the market. So just always remember that. Look at what you're doing and say, am I using the wrong system with my lifestyle? Do I have a busy lifestyle, but I'm using a system for somebody who has a more free time, a lifestyle that has more free time than I do. So that's my personal tip that I'm using in my own life. So you all will see that my trading is evolved, not because I've really evolved as a person. I try to evolve as a person every year, but this year has evolved because my life is more complicated. And that's how your trading will work. If my mom passes away or something else happens, you will see my trading revert back to something else. So it's always going to be fluid, always changing. Always be flexible and be open to changing up what you do. That's the way to win in this market. That's my 2 cents anyway. All right. Well, that's all I have for you there, buddy. It looks like am I getting you sick over the web?
No, for whatever reason, I just had something tickle my throat and I had to cough. But no, the only thing I was going to say, this was when I first started with the program. That was one of the things. I used to work in the military, so I couldn't do a lot of. I wanted to do more, but during the day I couldn't. You can't get on a trading platform on a government computer. You can't get on a lot of things with a government computer. So that was a very difficult struggle for me because the only time I could do things was when the market was closed. Now, I was doing a lot of paper trading in the beginning. Obviously, when you're learning, you're doing the paper trading, but it was something that was a challenge that I had to figure out how to overcome, and that's what's important. We talked about this the other night. When you give these stock recommendations, that's the work isn't done. It doesn't mean just go out. Hey, here's a stock recommendation. I'm going to go and buy a call on it.
Good point.
You've still got to do the work. We've just pointed you in the right direction. It's no different than, hey, take 95 to get to my house. You're not going to get here on 95. It's just getting you in the right direction to get towards where I'm at. You still got to do the work. So same thing. But those are great points that, when you guys watch these videos, what you see Travis and I do, I work from home now. I'm retired military, and my current position allows me to work from home. I have a very flexible schedule, so I can get in and do this stuff. As a matter of fact, Fridays are my office day. I literally don't do much work on my contracting side, and I do all this stuff. So I guarantee most people that are watching this video don't have that ability. So you can't trade like me, but you've got to figure that stuff out. I can tell you this though, there's a way to do it. I was successful at doing it when I was still in the military watching Travis's program. So there's a way to do it. You just got to figure it out. And it takes work. It's like anything. I think people look at trading as, hey, it's so easy. These guys are sitting back, and I'm in shorts today because it's 82 degrees out. It's not that easy. It took a lot of work to get here, and it still takes a lot of work. It takes showing up every day. It's not easy.
Man, dude, don't even get me started. I almost blow a top when I hear people make those excuses. I'm like, I don't think I've ever shared this. Maybe once. I don't think publicly. People have no flipping clue how difficult it was for me in the beginning. it was, like you said, you couldn't get on a computer. I was an auditor, and I worked for a company. Not only could I not get on a computer, they blocked outside internet access. So I was completely in the dark as far as the market every day. And so what I would do is I was on a plane Monday through Thursday every week. And so I'd land and I'd pick up my rental, and before I checked into the store, I'd pull over at like a Starbucks or a library, something like that. Check the market real quick, check my trades or place some trades. I'm in the dark for the entire day. Or if the store manager would allow me, I would say, "Hey, can I take my lunch out of the store? I'm in the middle of an audit. You're not supposed to leave the store because people start hiding stuff and cooking the books. It's crazy." So, I either take my lunch out the store, and that's what I'd go back to the library, Starbucks, just to check in real quick before the market closes. And then, and that's how I trade it. And so, and during, in the middle of the day while the market's, I'm climbing over dirty furniture. I'm in hot warehouses, like roaches are everywhere. It was like disgusting. And that's how I traded, like literally in the dark. So people are like, "I don't have time." I'm like, you know how difficult it was, but I found a way. Like you said, it's just like you have to be committed. Like, I don't care how challenging your schedule is. People are like, "I don't have internet access at work." Find internet access. I didn't have internet access at work. I found a solution. I'm like, well, somebody has internet access. Let me go find it. There was a time I lost 13,000 on IBM because earnings came out, and guess what? I'm in that hot, dirty warehouse, and what happened? I called my brother. I'm like, that was one of those times where you couldn't leave the factory. I knew I had no internet access all day, so I called my brother. I'm like, "Okay, can you pull up IBM? What is it doing?" And he told me, and I literally had to walk him through the phone, how to close out my order through my broker account, and it was a 13 grand loss. And I'm like, that's just my reality. I can't be at the computer all day. Like, that's just a reality. So yeah, when people give me those excuses about not having time and all this other stuff, I'm like, it's just that as an excuse. You're not committed enough. You won't really succeed until you make it a must. And if it's a want or kind of, "Oh, I wish I was rich," no, it has to be a must. It has to be, I'm going to succeed. It has to be, I'm going to succeed at this no matter what. And so that's my rant for the day.
Yeah, and those limitations are self-imposed. We talked about it the other night. Every limitation that you think you have, those are all self-imposed. We put limitations on ourselves, which is why, I mean, I was watching my dog the other day. He was as high as he was trying to jump to get something. He never stopped jumping because dogs just don't put limitations. They look at it and say, "I'm going to keep jumping until I get to it."
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, good stuff though.
Well, good. It's good meeting with you. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I pray next week I'm feeling much better. And hey, you're gonna have to listen to my gruffy voice. So until next week, you all take care. Hope this has added some value to your life, and see you in the next recap. All right, bye bye.
Take care.